considering moving to Parker or somewhere in the Denver metro area, well, this video we're going to talk about the 5 pros and the 5 cons of living in Parker, Colorado, so stay tuned. My name is Landon Bellum, and I am the marketing manager and an associate broker with Mod Estate, a real estate brokerage located out of Castle Rock, Colorado that services the whole greater Denver area. I'm here in Parker, Colorado right now on a beautiful trail, filming this awesome video on a beautiful day, and I'm very excited to be with you. So thanks for joining me. If you haven't seen our videos before, welcome. If you have, glad to have you back. Like the video, comment below what you think about these pros and cons. Let me know, was there anything I missed? Was there anything that maybe I shouldn't have added? And go ahead and subscribe, hit that little bell notification icon so that you're always aware of when I'm posting new videos, so that you're up to date with all of Colorado's market trends, updates. We're here to help you provide as much value as we can. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the pros and cons of living in Parker, Colorado. Let's start off with our first pro, and that is Parker, Colorado has fantastic neighborhoods and communities to live in. There's something here for everyone. It doesn't matter what your budget is, what type of lifestyle you like to live. Parker is an awesome community. There's amazing neighborhoods. And one of my best friends growing up lived in Parker for years. So I spent a lot of time hanging out at his house, getting to know Parker, getting to know the downtown Parker area, and I absolutely love it. In fact, I love it so much that my family and I just bought a home on the south end of Parker, and we are very excited to start making that move and living in this great town. There are many different neighborhoods, many different communities here in Parker, and I've even just made a video about Parker's top 11 neighborhoods and communities. You could probably see it playing right here, right now, but I'll post a link in the description, and there's a card up here that you can click on to check out that video if you want to learn more about the neighborhoods in Parker. Here's a little shout out to the 3 top neighborhoods that made it on our top neighborhoods in Parker, Colorado. The first one is Stroh Ranch. The second one is the Pinery, and the third one is Cottonwood. These 3 neighborhoods are fantastic, great choices, beautiful places to live, full of trails, parks, surrounded by open space. It really just doesn't get better than this. And I mean, come on, look at this. Wouldn't you love to live right near one of these? This is just beautiful. I love this area. Fantastic place to live, fantastic place to be, great communities. Jumping right into our second pro on the top 5 pros of living in Parker, Colorado, this city has scored a very high livability score. The livability score takes in all sorts of characteristics and data points of a city, puts it together in a number out of 100, and ranks it compared to other cities in the state or in the country. Parker scored a 78 out of 100, which is very high. It means it's a very great place to live on a lot of different accounts. And this actually ranks it as the 16th best city in Colorado to live in. We might argue with that a little bit and say it's one of the top 10, but that just goes to say that a lot of people are recognizing Parker as an incredible place, great community to live in. Our third pro on this list of 5 pros of living in Parker, Colorado is that the city has a great education system. If you have kids and you're wondering, man, is Parker a good place to put these kids in? Is the school district good? I would tell you yes. Douglas County is an incredible school district. I grew up going to Douglas County schools. Parker has like 3 different fantastic high schools to choose from, great sports programs, great education, fantastic teachers, middle schools, elementary schools, high schools, doesn't even matter what you're looking for, you will find great places to send kids to in Parker, Colorado, that is for sure. Our fourth pro of living in Parker, Colorado is that this city has some incredible town gatherings and events. It seems like it's almost every weekend that something's going on down in downtown Parker. The Main Street area has been totally revamped. It is beautiful, great open space, great places to hold events. You'll go for like Oktoberfest and find tons of booths, tons of fun activities to do, things for families, things for individuals, all sorts of different events, gatherings. They go on very frequently in Parker, more than most cities actually. But it seems like Parker is just on top of it, on top of their great communities and events, and getting people to get to know each other, get downtown, and have some fun. So if you're looking for a city that has fun things to do, fun activities for its residents, Parker is honestly one of the best ones you're going to find out there because these events are fantastic. I've personally been to multiple of them, and they are consistent. You will find them often throughout the year, all sorts of events. Plus, most of them are free of charge. You don't have to pay anything, and you'll find some awesome food, awesome booths, food trucks, events. Sometimes they even bring in like little mini roller coasters for the kids and stuff. Great times to be had in Parker for sure. Okay, let's wrap up this list of the 5 pros of living in Parker, Colorado with our 5th and final pro, and that is Parker has an amazing centralized location, one of the best. Parker is like 10 minutes east of Castle Rock, 10 minutes east of Highlands Ranch, 10 minutes east of Lone Tree, like 10-15 minutes from Centennial. Denver, Colorado is like 25, maybe 30 minutes north. You can get to Colorado Springs in like 45 minutes to an hour. That's just south of Parker. All of these huge Denver suburbs, really popular places to go or work or go to restaurants, whatever. All of these suburbs are very close by Parker. And there's a lot of Colorado cities that can't say that don't quite have as good of a location as Parker does in proximity to all sorts of fantastic and popular Colorado cities and suburbs. This makes Parker a great place to live if you work in the downtown Denver area, Aurora, Colorado Springs, because you're going to get a more affordable place to live, a really nice community, very open and free space, while still not being that far away from the place that you need to go every day. Not every city is perfect. We all know that, and Parker is no exception. There's a lot of pros to living here. I only covered 5 in this video, but let's go ahead and jump into the 5 cons of living in Parker, Colorado. The first one, starting off, if you are familiar with Parker at all, you'll know that the traffic is a problem and it is getting worse. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of red lights, a lot of road work throughout the year, and it just gets annoying. It gets really congested. The traffic's getting worse the more the city grows, and it's growing a lot. The traffic gets especially bad during the rush hour times, during the weeknights, evenings. It is pretty terrible when everybody that lives in Parker for the convenience, like we talked about in the pros section, but works outside of the city. They all have to come back in, and it gets super crowded, super congested, and it is just frustrating. This is definitely something that they're trying to fix, they're working on, but I see it getting worse before it gets better. So keep that in mind. There's pretty heavy traffic in the Parker area, and that's something that you kind of just have to deal with if you live here. Jumping into the second con of living in Parker, Colorado. Parker, Colorado is a very high cost of living. Parker is a more expensive place to live in almost every cost of living indicator than the whole state of Colorado on average and the US. Transportation, median home price, grocery, overall, these things are significantly higher priced and more expensive in Parker, Colorado. So if you're living here, you got to keep in mind that it's just going to be a more expensive city to live in. And that's highly because of a lot of these pros that we talked about. It's a very coveted location to live in, which makes it quite a bit more expensive than most other places in Colorado and the US. Our third con of living in Parker, Colorado is that there are pretty snowy and icy roads. In the wintertime, Colorado has pretty mild weather. For example, there's like 300 sunny days out of the year, which is more than Florida's average. So Colorado is a pretty good winter, even though it does snow. However, there does come a con with that, and that is snowy, icy roads. For example, it'll snow like crazy, little mini blizzard in the morning in Parker or just in Colorado in general, melt that ice throughout the day because the sun will pop back out and then refreeze at night. So Parker Road, for example, you're gonna see lots of accidents because people just don't know how to drive that well in the snow and on the ice. So these snowy, icy roads become a pretty significant problem in Parker, especially when you have everybody using Parker Road. It just gets really terrible and scary to drive on, coming from experience, and I'm a native. Let's jump into the fourth con of living in Parker, Colorado, and we've already touched on this a little bit, and we wanted to touch on it some more. We talked about a high cost of living, but this con is expensive housing, expensive homes. We wanted to dive into this a little bit because the home prices in Parker are pretty crazy. For example, in Parker, the median home price is $640,000-ish. In Colorado as a whole, the median home price is like $488,000. So Parker is significantly more expensive than most of Colorado. And in the rest of the US, it's like $260-ish, the median home price. So it is significantly more expensive than most of the US. The median home price in the US on average is half of what it is in Parker, Colorado. So you could basically get 2 houses somewhere else in the US for what you could get 1 Parker house. That is why we made this its own con, because housing here is just so dang expensive. It's very frustrating. It's hard for first-time home buyers to get into the Parker market. It's hard for people coming from out of state to get into Parker, unless you're coming from California or some other state that has very high home prices as well. Okay, our fifth and final con of living in Parker, Colorado is Parker Road. Parker Road, as we kind of mentioned with the traffic, is the main source of transportation in Parker, Colorado. Everything else branches off of Parker Road. This is really frustrating, especially if you're trying to get just from one end of the city to the next. You have to take Parker Road, and it gets super crowded with traffic, as we mentioned in the first con. And not just traffic, but road work on Parker Road is really annoying. It slows everything down immensely, and it's already congested. Parker Road, I just don't like Parker Road. I don't like it, I hate it. I think it's a huge con to the city. Castle Rock, for example, has a lot of other roads that you can get around with. You don't have to just take Meadows Parkway or Founders Parkway. Highlands Ranch, same thing. I feel like there's other options and other avenues that you can take so that you don't just get stuck on Run Road. That is just a big issue with Parker. We talked about it a lot in the traffic section, like I mentioned, but I think it deserved its own con here as the 5th and final con of living in Parker, Colorado. Parker Road is the only means of transportation, and if you wanted to go a different way, you can't, unless you want to add a huge time to your commute. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us on this video of the pros and cons of living in Parker, Colorado. We appreciated having you here. I'm glad that you made it to the end. That's pretty awesome. Not everybody makes it this far in the video, so that is great. Thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button, that little bell notification as well to the side of it. We've got more videos and content coming your way to provide you with as much value and information as possible about homes, cities, neighborhoods in the Denver metro area. Again, my name is Landon. We'll see you on the next one.